Okay, YouTubers, there it is. We finally got the VHF UHF station. Got our meter, digital cable. Don't forget your toroids, power supply, and I got the 4100A because this one's going in the vehicle after I get the bigger base. And I made sure when I bought my power supply, this is another tip for you guys. When you buy your power supply, if you're going to eventually upgrade to from a mobile radio to a base station, buy one power supply that will handle 30 amps, should handle a base station radio. Okay, that way you can run it with your base station and your mobile for the time being. Okay, and we got the big old MFJ meter. And here's another reason, another thing you need to think about. Okay, this meter does UHF and VHF and HF. Okay, now if you're going to be running power, you're not going to be interested in this meter because it only goes up to 200 watts. Okay, you need to switch back to an analog meter with the needles. Okay, alright, but this way I can upgrade to from a VHF UHF to an all-in-one base that has HF, and then my meter will still work for HF. So if you buy a meter, you're just trying to get by to get you a station or whatever. What I did, I saved up my money so that I could get it all at once, right? And it's all the correct stuff so that it's totally upgradable. Okay, I could have went cheap and bought a real cheap, small size little needle meter, right? Okay, that could have worked. Okay, but then if you upgrade your radio, you're going to be buying another meter. Okay, so because if you go with an HF or try to go VHF, UHF, what have you, you won't have the capability if you buy one of them small little inexpensive, I don't want to say cheap, but inexpensive. So you know that makes a difference. Okay, I got the data cable. You can get just the cloning cable, I think, but I went ahead and got the data cable too. Alright, and then don't forget your toroids. These are 43s. These are 140 size. I've got the 240s over there. I'm going to show you guys here in a little bit. I got it all hooked up. But like I said, I wanted to point this out. I could have bought a cheaper power supply that would, a 10 amp or so that would run this one just fine. But a 10 amp would not run a base station. So I wanted to just buy one and get it done. Alright. And there's one other thing I forgot to lay out here, and that's your jumper. You need a small coax jumper. I got one over here. There we go. You're going to need a jumper to go from your radio to your meter. Okay, don't want to forget that either. And then your antenna will hook directly to the meter. Okay, so you got to have a jumper. This is a cheap jumper. This is a Chinese jumper. I wouldn't trust it. I've cut one of these open and it is real copper. So these I might use because I know. But if you're going to talk VHF, UHF, you need better coax, your better connectors, especially outside. I've got the 400 Max from DX Engineering running up from the ground rod outside all up to the roof. And then I've got a jumper, 18-foot jumper coming out the window. Right there. That's coming from the ground rod outside, inside. Okay. Just to show you. And I don't have ground in there, and we'll talk about that later. I'll show you. So don't sweat it. But yeah, don't forget your jumper. So here's your, if you're going to hook you up a station, you know, that's going to talk good. The reason why I got the 4100A, okay, it's dual band. It does VHF UHF, and it also does D-Star, okay. So that kind of gives you another mode. So it's kind of a 3-mode radio instead of just a dual band, being a dual band radio. That's the reason why I went with the 4100A, because it did give me the D-Star advantage also. And I've tried it out. I can get into the repeater, but I don't know if there's something wrong with the repeater, but it does work. You can also hotspot with this, D-Star with a hotspot, hook it with a data cable. Now, I did not buy the ICOM. You alright, bud? Sorry, that's my dog. That's the old bandit right there. He's got emphysema. Little thing, poor little thing. You alright, bud? Alright, so that's the reason why I did buy the 4100A, because it did D-Star also. And I got it hooked up, and there's another reason why I bought it, and I'll show you that here in a little bit. But that's what you need. So you can go cheap if you want, guys. You know, inexpensive, and get just a smaller meter, you know, that'll do VHF. Get you a used radio. You know, I went, what have you, you know. Don't forget, you got to get a jumper, okay, and you need some toroids to keep to put on your cables. All right, and you can go with a cheaper power supply. I think you can get one for, like, I've seen it on Gigaparts and DX Engineering, both. They had like a power supply that would run this radio. I think it was 10 amp, and it was, I think it was just over $40. So, but this one here is a little bit more expensive. You guys can look up all these prices if you want, and there's about 700 there, a little over 700, I think. But I saved up because I wanted to get it all at once. And really, to be honest, what you need to do is get your antennas up first. Get them all in place. Just, you know, you guys have been watching my videos. And then get your radio stuff, okay? A lot of guys rush into it, getting the radio first. And if you don't get a meter and you're trying to run a radio, you're going to burn it up if you're not for sure about your standing wave. So that's, you need a meter. You need a jumper. And you need some toroids. Those are cheap, so you should buy them, okay? And then you can cheap out if you want on that radio and power supply. And meter if you want it. But that right there is a reliable setup. That should be a good one. So far, it's done good for me. Let me show you over here. I'll take you over. Now, I'm not going to turn on the radio and jump on there, and you're not going to learn nothing. Everybody's radio is going to be different. Everybody lives in different places, you know. So their shit may work better than other people's. So I'm not going to do that to you. But what we are going to do is show you how to hook it up. Because that's one thing you don't see a lot on the radio. But here's the setup right here. Now, this is why I went with the MFJ and then this 4100A, because it's detachable. Okay, it uses a cable, it runs down, and you can put the radio somewhere else there. And that's why I did that. Now, ICOM wants 80 some odd dollars, almost $90 for the mounting kit for that. You don't get it with it. And so what I did, I just siliconed it, RTV silicone right across the bottom, and put it to the meter. And then I put a little prop thing off of a old box, set it right here on the back. It's not screwed or nothing, okay? It's just set right there on the back with the RTV silicone, and it just keeps this from falling forward. But you can see I can pick up the meter with this. It's that solid, so it works great. Now this is why I went with this. It's because I wanted a small footprint. See, all I need is my radio frequencies and what my antenna's doing. That's it. I don't want, you know, 3 radios stacked up here, my power supply and all, you know. Because if you put your power supply with your radio right on top of it and everything, you're just asking for noise. All right. So let me show you the power. Don't forget your toroid. Okay. There's your toroid. That's the power cord for the meter coming from the 12-volt supply. Okay. And I'm going to tell you something now. I had a toroid on the coax, all right, from the radio, all right, and it screwed this meter up. It did not like it. So this, from the radio to the meter, and then the antenna comes from outside and hooks into the back of the meter, and then we have 2 connections back here. Okay, one's the antenna, one's the radio. Look, that's coming from the radio. Okay, let's step down here. There is it, the power supply. Okay, on the back you can see the power for the radio. Let me move them out of the way. Computer stuff. Okay, there's the power supply for the radio. Okay, and the meter. It's both are plugged in there. Okay, on the back, and then here's the power cord. Okay, coming from the actual power. Okay, we don't want nothing coming back. And I've got mine running off a UPC, an old one, but I put new batteries in. It works great. But this is the only thing right here. It's a battery backup. Okay, so that the electricity goes out, the batteries kick in, and it keeps the power supply running. Now, yeah, I could have went just 12-volt batteries down here, right? And I had that for a while, but you all right, bud? Goodness, man, you sound awful. You all right? Goodness, man, he sounds awful. All right, so this is just a 400 watt, I think, old power AAA UPS uninterruptible power supply, and this is the only thing that's plugged into it. Okay, now I'm grounded from the electricity from this. It's got its own ground plug, and then this has a ground plug. All right, and it's plugged into this, so that's where my ground comes in. All right, from the inside, I'm on an UFR ground, so my grounding is a little different than most guys is sticking a rod outside and bringing a ground in. I got to pay an electrician guy to come in, so there is no ground hooked to this at all. Okay, it's all toroids. Okay, even the radio there. Okay, and you can see they don't sell the mounting bracket, but I wanted to prop it up, or at least set it up, so I just put silicone on some potato chip bag things to give it little props. And on the back is a PVC pipe, just siliconed. I cut it in half, took half of it and laid it flat on the back. Keeps the coax from digging into the being at an oddball angle. So, but then that's, you know, you don't really need the mounting kit would have been nice, but $80, I'm not gonna spend that. Hell with that, because I'll just put it down here like this, make my own. It's just hot glue, guys, right here. So that way, if you need to move it, you can just pop it off there. It comes off fairly easy. Okay, and there's only 2 connections on the radio back there. Okay, let me get a flashlight and I'll show you the toroid. Forgot the flashlight. And there's the toroid on the power cable. Okay, it did not like that toroid being on the coax. This is the coax back here, where the yellow is, right here where my finger's pointing. That's the coax going up to the meter. Okay, and that's Ultraflex 213 3-foot jumper. Because it's VHF UHF, you need good jumpers for no loss, 0 loss, and I got almost no loss. I'll show you. But it did not like that toroid being on that coax at all. Okay, I don't know why. It's weird. Maybe because it's VHF UHF. Okay, so you got to be aware of that. All right, and then there's the just the electrical connection on that. Oops, sorry. There you go. It's just one for the radio, one for the meter. Okay. And like I said, we got our toroid on our power cord. Okay, coming up from the to the power supply. So you need a toroid there. That's a 240. Okay, a 240. There you go. That's a big one because you need that big one to get the big old head of that plug through there, through that whole lot. And I could only get 3 wraps on it. So you almost need bigger than a 240, but that's all it worked. It'll work. So that's all you need. So there you go. So you put a toroid on your power cords. Okay. There's only 2 connections back there. Now there's one thing I forgot, and that's an external speaker. You try to think of everything. So as of now, all I got is this little speaker in here, and it's kind of muffled up because it's underneath here. Okay, so but you can see the potato chip clips just siliconed up there to the just siliconed them to the bottom of the radio. If the silicone pulls right off that radio, it won't even scar it or nothing. And then there's the piece of half cut 1.25 inch PVC pipe, and it's siliconed on there as well. Okay, makes it a nice little prop, gets it up, up in the air, gets good circulation. And then there's the coax coming in. Now what I did with the microphone cable, so it's not constantly pulling on this little joint right here. Okay, because that thing's not very strong. And there's a lot of spring action in these cables. I learned that from my CB days. I had a radio that had one of them plugs, and man, it ended up like a week of me pulling on it, pulled it right out of there. So what I did, that's just hot glue. I had run out of clear, so that's the gold glitter color microphone hot glue. So, but there you go. That's the coax, or the microphone, and you can pull on it pretty good. And it doesn't move. It won't harm the cable either. So it works pretty good. But there's the connections, so you guys can see, where the toroids go. You put that on your power cable, on your power cables. Okay. And like I said, there's no ground yet, as of yet. I'll explain that. But that's my setup right there. I'll turn it on here. You don't want to move cables and stuff with the power on. So there's your toroid coming in from the meter, power from the meter. It's just a 140 on that one size. And of course we got our toroid back there on our power supply for our mag loop antenna. You guys need to watch my video on the mag loop. That's the controller for it. Okay. Alright. But that'll show you the connections. So let's turn it on. I put a 32 gig SD card in it, guys. You gotta buy that too. 32 gig. And that allows you to get into the memory banks, and you can do recordings for your voice recordings and stuff on D-Star. Alright. There we go. Okay. 2 meter simplex. You guys want to see what that standing wave? Watch it. You think that compact antenna is awesome, guys. I've already made contact in a little over 70 miles away with that compact antenna on 70 centimeters. But here's your standing wave, a 1, 0 reflected. That's a damn good antenna. And I'm throwing out about 52 watts, I think. Yeah. So there you go. It doesn't. It does better on 70 centimeters, 400 megahertz. It really seems to work well. But you hear the fan. That's the fan on the radio. It's another reason why you don't want it up on your bench. That noise, get it down, everything down and away from you. It helps. You know, but like I said, this coax on the back, I went to put a toroid on the coax that goes outside, and from the meter, from the antenna, on the antenna side coming in. It did not like, this meter did not like that toroid. It was getting a standing wave of 99. Yeah, it just was freaking it out. So there's no toroid on my coax going out. It just hits the ground rod outside. But you should see the noise level. Just a squeaking in it, just a hair above 1. Quiet as a church mouse. But it does really good, guys. It's a talker. The antenna's up about 35 feet on the eave of the house, or the apartment, I should say, because I live in an apartment. And in case you don't know, HOA situation. She allowed me to put one little small antenna up, and the compact antenna was the winner, because I can do 2 meter and 440 off of it. 440, I'm getting about 60 miles to the big city. I'll put it to you that way. It's about 60 miles, and I'm clear to them, and that's on 70 centimeters. So, but I put some spares in there for simplex, but it don't like 446. It shoots up to 1.7. I'll show you. Gives me a little bit of a reflected loss, but if I move up a little bit away, or from 446, it goes down to 1.3, sometimes 1.0. So that antenna, you see guys talking about that compact antenna online. Well, it only works, I hooked it up to my LNA. You can't really tell from that LNA what that antenna is going to do, because that antenna tunes itself. And I'm shocked at how far I'm getting with that little antenna. And everybody's like, man, you're loud. So there's a few that I scratch into, and it's because I'm trying to go through a hill to the south of me. And I get great up north of me. So, but it seems to work great, guys. But that's my setup. So you can see now, you know, I got my license last month, so I've been saving for a while to get it all ordered, and I finally got it all ordered. In case you want to know, that's for the mag loop. It's right here. I've been working on it. You guys can see it's got and what's cool is that capacitor works on the little loop and the big loop, and the little one works on the big loop and the small loop too. They kind of cross. It's awesome. I put on a new video. I built a flux capacitor. Nobody's watching it, so I'm going to put mag loop part 4 and make another one to explain it. It was pretty awesome. But I haven't tried hooking the VHF radio to this yet. I'm gonna try testing with that here in a while and make another video of that for you guys, because that little one there should talk 2 meter or 400 real good, and I think this one here worked on 400, the big one. So I'm going to test around with it because I can adjust the standing wave now. You can see that's how you adjust the standing wave. Pull that closer, pull it away. But I haven't tried hooking it up to VHF yet. But I'll make a video on that here in a couple weeks. And we'll post it up. See how good the mag loop does on it transmitting. Because I did build it for transmitting. So, got the little HT down there, the AZ. 5 watts just ain't enough, guys. If you're trying to get to a repeater, unless you're sitting on top of the repeater, you're in the same neighborhood of it. I've got 3 guys that I've tried contacting on my local repeater, and you can't hear them. They're just barely squeaking in. They're just little, you know, the static is almost covering them up. And it's because they're running them HTs with 5 watts, man. You need more power, dude. So, you guys, I bumped up to 50 watts on this one. So, this one's a total of 50 watts. But my antenna will only do 50 watts on 440. So, on 70 centimeters. So, that's fine by me. I'm getting out to, as long as you can get to a repeater, you're good. So, you can do some simplex. I'm going to order the compact antenna beam. And that'll be another video too, the 2-meter beam, because I found out it'll work with 440 also, just not as well as on 2-meter. But the key to this, guys, is one antenna. If you get one antenna and it only does one band, you're stuck. I can do 2-meter, 70 centimeter, and D-Star, all on that rig right there. So, other than that, I did not order the data cable from ICOM. You can order a data cable from ICOM that hooks to the radio and goes over to your computer, and it will connect your computer like a hotspot to D-Star using its internet connection. But I'm not really in on the D-Star thing, so I'll just leave it at that. But I did want the capability. Oh, and that's got GPS too. So, because eventually that's going in the vehicle. I'm putting that with the compact antenna on the roof on a magnet mount that's over there, the MNO magnet mount, and that's going in the car. So now we're replacing this one with the base, keeping the meter. So, alright, well there's an update. That's my VHF setup now. And I'll explain the ground later. Why I'm not running it, because I'm disconnecting it outside, guys, when I'm not using it. So that's pretty much it. The electrician told me until I can afford to get it bonded to the oofer ground out here, just to unhook it, and it'll work. You know, it won't hold me, you know, into a situation. So that's why there's no ground out in here, guys. Your VHF, you really kind of don't. If you run toroids, you can get by. But if you're running HF, guys, you got to have that ground coming inside to a ground point somewhere. And then run all your grounds individually to that ground point. So, okay. Without going into it, you can watch my grounding and bonding video. It'll help. Alright, guys, so I hope that helps. Anyway, that's my station. I hope you enjoy watching. I'll see you on the next video. 73s.